Curry drives, scores. He's got 50. A 50-point playoff game for Stephen Curry in a Game 7. Just an amazing performance by one of the best players ever to play. And he's in the conversation for best player ever to play.
Oh, baby! What is happening, folks? Good morning, everybody out there getting off their graveyard shift. If you're at work, what is happening? If you're getting ready for work, what's good? Strippers, baby mamas, baby daddies, firefighters, ushers, security guards, you name it. We got Big John in the building. We got Loveman in the building. Spadoni. Going to be a long 2 weeks for you, buddy. That's a promise. That is a promise. And good morning to Joe Shasky as the Warriors dust off the Sacramento Kings. And look, man, it's all about number 30. And we're going to pay our gratitude to the Sacramento Kings and their organization. That was a lot of fun for the last 3 weeks. The first ever I-80 Classic. They should be proud. We were talking about failures on Friday. What's a failure? What's not a failure? For Sacramento, that's a great stepping stone for them. They had a hell of a season. And shout out to Kitty. Shout out to D'Lo. Shout out to Dusimo. Shout out to everybody up there in Sacramento, man. A hell of a season. But Steph was just better. The first player to ever drop a 50-burger in a Game 7. 50. The second oldest player to drop 50 in a playoff game outside of Karl Malone. The Warriors have Steph, and you don't. And that's why the Warriors have another shot to win an NBA championship. Woo!
You know, Bonte, I've gone down the rabbit hole of watching all these 30 for 30s. And do you remember when they did the top 25 athletes of all time on ESPN at the turn of the century?
I do.
I watched all of those, right? And I feel like I'm watching an icon in real time. You know what I mean? I'm watching Joe Montana. I'm watching Wilt Chamberlain. I'm watching Barry Bonds. I'm watching Jerry Rice all rolled into one. I don't know, you know, MJ, LeBron, Kobe, you know, I don't know where he stacks up in that. I just know from my eyes, I'm watching one of the greatest players of all time. Period. And then I look at like Bay Area history. I thought last year for me, he had surpassed Joe Montana. I thought he had surpassed even Jerry Rice and Barry Bonds. I mean, these are guys I hold in the highest regards.
He's there. He's
Steph Curry, what he did yesterday, elevated himself. Like, he already had the resume and all this. When you do that, with that on the line, 50 in a Game 7 at 35 years old, when it felt like nothing was going right for them outside of Kevon Looney, right, for the most part, my God. I mean, just snatching the soul. Three-pointer step backs, cooking Malik Monk, cooking Sabonis on the switch, cooking Keegan Murray on the switch, De'Aaron Fox, and Terrence Davis. Whoever they threw in front of him, he was cooking. And then getting to the rim, finishing with the left, finishing with the right, the teardrop, the floaters. I mean, Bonte,
scored 22 points in the paint yesterday.
He did anything he wanted.
22 points in the paint.
Controlled pace like a Luka Doncic game. It was unbelievable.
22 points in the paint for Stephen Curry yesterday. He pulled up with the mid-range jumpers at will over Malik Monk. I look at the Mike Brown and how he coached that basketball game. I thought Mike Brown lost that game for the Sacramento Kings. I really do. We'll get to that a little bit later.
Interesting.
I just thought he found something Friday night. He didn't go back to it. He didn't go back to it for whatever reason. He rode down the gravy train of Harrison Barnes at times, and Sabonis. Sabonis may be the most overrated all-star I've ever seen, but we'll get to that a little bit later. We're going to celebrate the Warriors' advance to the second round, where they'll play the L.A. Lakers for the first time in a playoff series since 1991. Game 1 tomorrow at Chase Center, 7 p.m., and the Warriors somehow stumble into home court advantage because they're the 6th seed and the Lakers are the 7th. So the Warriors will have home court advantage.
Incredible.
So they'll play LeBron James and company tomorrow. Bob Myers, president of basketball operations. AG, I'm going to go to say Warriors. Guess what? Uncle Bob said I need to talk to the roast. He's coming on at 7 a.m. 7 a.m. Bob Myers today on the morning roast, folks.
Bonte, when I think of like great Bay Area playoff performances, right? There's so many that you could choose from, right? There's just so many you could choose from. But like off the top of my head, I think of like Game 7, Madison Bumgarner to do what he did, and he did it the entire postseason.
Right.
But to do what he did in a Game 7 World Series, it doesn't get much higher than that.
No.
I think of Colin Kaepernick having basically like 500 combined yards, 290 passing, 170, rushing. It still lives in infamy. Yeah, against what he did against Green Bay, final playoff game at Candlestick. I don't know where you rank this Steph Curry one, but it's an all-timer.
Well, you think about what Steph Curry has just done in less than a year. Game 4, Boston, 43 points at your backs against the wall, down 2-1.
On the road.
On the road at
In
TD Garden,
the
on the
TD
parquet
Garden.
floor with the banners over there. We're at Arbach Court signature. You got his cigar smoke everywhere. Steph Curry drops 43. To me, that's top of the top. That's top of the top. Yesterday, in a Game 7, and he sensed it. Clay was off the start, 1 of 10 in the first half. Just didn't have it going. Nobody really had it going when it came to
nobody
shooting.
did.
Andrew Wiggins was
nobody
struggling.
did.
Everybody was struggling. DiVincenzo again struggled from the floor. Steph Curry was super aggressive. His 38 field goal attempts is a career high.
That's
and you
crazy to me.
A career high. Now, in the second half alone, a lot of guys will walk out the gym and they'll say, and I'm going to pull up his second half stats in a second. He scored 30 in the second half alone. 30. All right? He was 12 of 23 the second half alone.
And they missed a zillion free throws in that third quarter.
The third quarter
that third quarter was pain.
It was pain, but that's where the game flipped. So
No
Steph
doubt,
Curry,
no
they
doubt.
went 7 of 16 from the free throw line. However, the offensive rebounding without Kevon Looney, they were 13. They had a 13-1 advantage on the offensive glass in the third quarter. And I thought, when you look at the Sacramento Kings and what they did in the wins, Sacramento was special. In the wins, Shasky, Sacramento was plus 33 with points off turnovers, plus 38 when it came to points in the paint, plus 24 when it came to second chance,
Unreal.
plus 17 when it came to
Unreal.
fast break, and plus 18 when it came to offensive rebounding. That was in the Kings' 3 wins. Warriors knew they had to flip those stat categories, and they did that yesterday, Shasky. They did that yesterday, out-rebounded the Sacramento Kings. On the offensive glass, it ended up being 18-14, but really it was 18-11. The Sacramento Kings got some garbage
At the
ones
end, yeah.
at the end of the game. But the field goal attempts, they outshot them. They made more threes, and then they got 50 from Steph. Again, 50. So you want to talk about some of the most iconic Bay Area performances ever? Steph may have 2 of the top 5. Just in the last year.
Yeah.
I mean, Montana against the Denver
Yeah.
Broncos. 55-10. Montana was special.
Of course.
The drive against Cincinnati, he was special.
the
But think about that. This kid from Davidson, who's 35 years old,
It's just
in his 14th season as a leader in his franchise, this moribund, decrepit organization that had 1 playoff appearance from basically 1994 until 2012, 2013. They had 1 playoff appearance. Think about that.
And
Nearly
one All-Star.
20 years.
One
And
one-time All-Star.
One-time All-Star. And Steph has come in and flipped everything. And now a decade later, after last playing LeBron James in 2018, we're getting it again in the second round in what feels like a Western Conference final between the LA Lakers. But it's just Steph. It's the shot making, Shasky. It's the dribbling. It's the ball handling. And it's sensing the moment saying, get on my back. We're not going out in the first round.
And how ironic is it that in a game where he controls everything, it felt like the biggest play of the night was to end the third quarter where he tells Draymond, fake screen for me and go screen for Clay because he's the greatest teammate of all time as well. Not only is he the greatest basketball player I've ever seen, just from my eyes, when he did that, and then he kicks it to Clay as Dre sets that little screen, and Clay hits it with the and-1, that felt like that was the moment of, oh my God, we could take a deep breath a little.
Not only was that huge, because it was a 4-point play to give you a 10-point lead going into the fourth quarter, Malik Monk had hustled to get an and-1 on the other end to cut the Warriors' lead to 6.
He
and
caught it in midair and went right back up.
Malik
That
Monk
was a
was great.
sick-
Malik Monk was sick in this series. By the way, we'll preview the Lakers tomorrow all day long. We're going to celebrate this win. We're going to talk about the Game 7, Steph Curry's performance. We're going to do it all with the callers, 888-957-9570. But one thing that needs to change for the Golden State Warriors if they want to go deeper into the playoffs. It's the bench.
No.
The bench was outscored by 94 points in this series against the Sacramento Kings.
Look, DiVincenzo was so bad in this series. And I'm not going to say that everything resets because that's not true, right? But you have an opportunity to reset if you're an individual player. So, like, for example, Kuminga did nothing in the series, all right? Now, he will get a chance early on in this series to guard LeBron or somebody, and he either has to prove it or then he's unplayable as well. DiVincenzo will have to hit an outside shot. Like, I'm sorry, DiVincenzo, you got to hit something. I thought Moses Moody made the most of his tiny little opportunities, and to me, if I'm looking for one silver lining from the first round in terms of the bench,
Moses Moody has confidence.
Moses Moody looks like he's playable.
Moses Moody will play, and Moses Moody was pretty solid in this series. No doubt Moses Moody
was solid. There were times they left him really alone, and he has to hit a shot.
Well, four block shots. The missed layup in the first quarter. I get it. The end of the first quarter, he missed a layup. He's got to finish. A lot of guys miss layups.
He was good. I don't want to rip him.
But they need Jordan Poole.
Yes.
That's the guy you have to get right here. You have to get Jordan Poole right. How do you get him going? Now, he had a couple big shots there, timely mid-range jumper in the second quarter. He had a big three, but Jordan Poole has to get going. Again, the Warriors were minus 94 when it came to bench production, bench points in this series against the Sacramento Kings. That's not good because the Lakers counter with Dennis Schroeder. They counter with Rui Hachimura. They counter with Malik Beasley, who's going to get dusted off. So you have to get something from the bench. But again, you can survive a bench production like that or a poor bench production when you have Stephen Curry.
Yes, no
and Stephen Curry was all-time great in the series, averaging nearly 34 points a game, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists. He was special. He ended up being the best player in the series where there was a debate.
Yes.
Fox or Steph. Well, Fox got outplayed yesterday. He only scored 16.
I know.
You wonder about the finger, but you know what? 5 of 19
It
just was
is what
not
it
a
is.
factor.
I mean, look, you get to these playoff games, guys are dinged up. It sucks. It sucks that he is. I think the Warriors have seen enough series with Steph Curry hobbled with some sort of injury to understand, or another player. Like, it just is what it is at this point. I'm sorry. It's not the end of the world.